Alright, this is what it looks like. So I've pulled this off right here. You can see that I've got that moved over, so when I go to put this on and screw it on, righty-tighty, this won't be in its way. If I have to, I'll lift it up. So that is that connection. Oh, by the way, this thing here, looking at the gaskets on the inside, the gaskets do look like they're shot. So I think you can just buy replacement gaskets. So I want to either use replacement gaskets for inside of here, or just replace this whole piece with the new one that I just purchased. But I'm going to put that aside for now, because I don't need that for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this wire brush, clean off these threads right here, and then I'm going to put the Teflon tape on, and then I'm going to put this street elbow on right there. So I'm going to go ahead and work on that right now. I have wrapped this pipe 4 times with Teflon tape, which should be enough, but I happen to have some pipe thread sealant, so I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of this pipe thread sealant on top of these threads here as an additional insurance. I just have this damper diverter supported by a 2x4, just so it's out of my way, so when I go to swing this, it is unobstructed. Here on this connection here, I should not need Teflon tape or pipe thread sealant because of the rubber gasket that's going to be used. So I am going to just go ahead and put that on right now. This is what it looks like with the connection fully made up. I have the damper diverter put in with just one screw here in the back, but in case I need to move it, because I have to wrench that up, it might be in my way. I still might need to move it again, so I'm just going to leave that like that. You can see the excess sealant there at the bottom, so I've just got a paper towel here to wipe that up. This connection right here is where the new valve right there is going to go onto, and this is going to be also got to be pipe threaded up with some sealant because there's no gasket there. So I'm going to take my brush here, clean this up, pretty much do the same thing that I did to that original joint, and prep that for the valve. When I do get to the valve portion of it, there isn't a directional arrow, so I just have to make sure that that directional arrow is pointing this way, that way, because the water is going from here out that way. Alright, this is what everything looks like so far. There's that joint connection right there. I was hesitant whether to go another revolution on this joint right here because the accessibility of doing that is so hard. I hate grabbing the valve on this side because you can potentially torque the valve. So I always try to keep the wrench, when I do the double wrench technique, on the side that I'm tightening down, which in this case it was easy because everything's right here. In this case it's rather difficult because it's just buried. So hopefully that's going to be tight enough. So now I need to make up this connection to this connection, and I'm going to see if this piece here is long enough to do that. If not, I've got a couple other pieces. Either way, I want to change out these gaskets anyway, so I'm going to maneuver this right now. Okay, you saw me try to put that piece in, the original piece in, but it was just too small and it was just fighting me, plus it was kind of kinked right there, so I just said the hell with it. The longest piece that they had was this one here, which is the 24-inch piece. Fine, put that one in, just brought the loop up and around and made up the connections. I'm actually ready for a water test. Let's go ahead and just go with the pressure from this tank here, which is probably about 70 psi right now. Let's see if anything happens with that. That valve is open. I don't see anything on any of my joints. Of course, when I do plumbing, I always check my joints now and 24 hours after the job. That's just standard operating procedure for me. I'm going to go ahead and open the water supply inlet and see if we get anything. Okay, open that valve 100%. What I do is I open it 100% and then I just come off the back so it's just not all the way back seated. And then any plumbing connection that I did, and even the ones that I didn't do, nothing should be leaking. I'm going to test, I'm going to look and observe everything. I cleaned the whole top of the tank. If there's one iota of water here, I'm going to see that. So let's see here. Let's see if we can get that. There's one joint here. This one's hard to see. Right there. Go all the way around that one. Everything looks okay. Catch it underneath. And then this one here too, all the way around. Make sure that we're 100%. And actually everything looks 100% solid. Okay, great. That was probably the hardest part of the job, was getting that valve in. Now that the valve is in, and I did not have to solder anything, by the way, for this particular job. Now that the valve is in, let me go ahead and connect on the thermostat wire, get that going, and get everything else going here. Might be some pockets of air in here, who knows. Either way, I want to make sure it's burped really well. The next thing I want to do is I want to run my my wire for the transformer. So I have some thermostat wire here. This wire is 18.2. It's 50 feet long, which obviously I don't need 50 feet. So I've got that good, ready to go. I have my staple gun here. My intention is to just staple it right to the drywall. I have two drywall staple sizes, 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch. I don't want to really crimp this wire, so I'm going to start off with 1/2 inch staples and see how well that goes into the drywall. As far as my path of travel goes, In back of my workbench here, I keep sheets of masonite. So because I have sheets of masonite here, I want to run the wire here going up the wall and then up the top and then down to the valve over there. So I gotta move a bike and a ladder, so let me get to that. Okay, I ran the thermostat wire up the wall. I turned over to there, came over to here, and ran it and back, and then terminated inside. I'll go up there and show you that in detail. For the thermocouple wire, I've got that here. I zip tied it onto the gas line just to try to keep it out of the way as much as possible. Came up here, and then this is that line. This line right here, that's the one that goes to the sensing pad. Okay, that's going to go in here. I still have to sand and paint that base just because I want to do that. But I've already ran the lines, and when I did the staples, I held the gun at an angle so that none of the wires are pinched. Everything is just sort of loose. So that I did the same technique for the thermostat wire, so that all the wires, nothing is pinched. Okay, it's all loose. I know that particular wire looks like it might be pinched. Oh, here, I'll go up here and show you. It's not pinched. It's this one right here. See that? See how I can move that wire around? Oops, sorry. If that was pinched, then you could not do that, okay? So, no pinching of the wires, everything's good. And then I came over to here. Now, for the transformer wire, for the transformer, the color coding was the same as the that I used before. There's one red and one white, which makes it simple. I kept the red on the positive, the white on the negative. So I'll do that with the transformer when I get to it. That connector is plugged in. This is the connector for the sensing, water sensing device down below. This is the one for the thermocouple that kills that. The valve is currently in the on position, and there's no power to it. There's no light, LED light on. So I gotta get the power to it on, and the pilot is still off to this water heater. I have the natural gas currently off, so I do need to relight the pilot and get that going and make sure all that's good. So the first thing I want to do is get this transformer right here wired up. So let me show you how I do. See how the wire is behind that plate. Okay, now we're good to go there. Now let's go ahead and plug it in. That should be fine to plug in. By the way, I don't know if you notice, all my outlets, any time I work on an outlet, I always label the breaker number right on the outlet. And that's what that number 9 is. It's breaker 9 at my panel. Alright, I got it plugged in, but nothing's happening. I'm surprised I don't have a light here. Let me unplug this and plug it back in. I got the red on the positive, make sure my wiring's correct. Oh, there it is. Oh, shoot. Something's happening here. When I move this slightly, the light is coming on. Why is it doing that? Do I have a loose connection? Is the wire compromised? Or what is happening here? Everything should be good. Oh boy, I don't like that. I'm gonna check my Phillips head. I mean my connections on here. I'm just gonna. There's some screw heads here. I just want to make sure those are perfectly tight before I move on. Okay, that seemed to do it. I just used the screwdriver that came with the packet. I loosened up and adjusted those screws, and then made sure the wire was good and in, and now it's got a nice solid LED right there. I want to do some testing, and now that we're actually online here, I do want to make sure that everything is still good to go and that this device is functioning as it's supposed to. So the first thing I want to do is get the pilot lid off. So let's light off the pilot. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my gas valve. Gas valve is opened. I want to take the gas valve here and move it from on to pilot. And now that is on pilot mode. Make sure I can depress the plunger, and I can. Now, let me go ahead and show you the firebox. Okay, now I'm going to depress the plunger, get this going. There it is. And you can see that I've got a pilot flame there. I'm just going to hold that for 10 seconds while I'm holding and depressing this button. Now I'm going to go ahead and release the button and see if it goes out. And no, it did not go out, which is good. Now let's go ahead and go from vacation mode to on. And I think it's going to light off. I had it on vacation mode for a while. I think I'm going to have to run some water. Wait a minute. There it is. Let me go back to hot. I can hear it snapping like it wants to go. Alright, let me go run some hot water, get this thing going. Alright, I got hot water running. I'm just waiting for the thermostat to... oh, I still got it on pilot mode. I got to turn it to on. There it is. My bad. Forgot to turn it to on. Let me shut that water off. Silly mistake on my part. I forgot to go from pilot to on, but it's on now. The flame is on now. This thing should work. I got my container of water. I have a sink running right now. I'm going to put water here. Do you see that? The flame shut off. Let's go see what happened to the water. There's the water right there. The valve is in the on position. And you can see that the pressure has been, that's just the head pressure of the house. I'm going to shut that off. That would be normal pressure right there. This is the pressure that it is. So it absolutely is working good. You can see here, let me turn it this way. You can see that it's closed right there, and it's making me that beeping sound, which is exactly what it's supposed to do. Alright, so now that we know that, what we're going to do is we're going to take a dry cloth, dry this off. Oh, and I probably lost my pilot. Yeah, I lost my pilot too. So let me take this here and just go to off for now. And I'm going to go ahead and dry this up 100%. Right there. Don't need the water anymore, because that was just for that test. And now let me silence and reset that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to silence this by hitting the silence button. Now I'm going to take my screwdriver here and go from closed to open. Make sure that I'm not doing anything funky here. Actually, it does not want to go. It's fighting me, and I'm not gonna fight it. I could feel that it didn't want to go. Let's see if I did something wrong here. Let me try that one more time. Now, it's in the locked position to closed. It's not allowing me to open the valve. So let me make sure that my connection down here is dry. Where's that towel? Alright, so let me just dry this some more. 100% dry. Make sure that there's no water on here at all. Sure, it doesn't seem like there is. I mean, I feel like I got it dry, 100% dry. Can't feel a thing. Alright, let's see if it'll take a reset now. And it's not beeping, but I'll hit the silence anyways. Let me try that again. No, it's still locked. Locked. Just make sure I'm not doing anything weird. I don't like to force anything. Now I wonder if I need to cycle the power to the unit to reset it. I could try that. So what I'll do is I'll just unplug this, wait a few seconds, and then plug it back in. Okay, now it's still beeping. I don't know if it's beeping because it's closed or if it's beeping because there's water. I reset that. Let me see if it'll allow me to reset the valve. No, the valve still will not allow me to reset. That is just weird. I don't know why, but I can tell that it's not allowing me to reset. Let me double check here. Maybe because there's some moisture here on the outside. I'm not sure. I thought the sensing mechanism was just that. I'm going to dry this up real well. Alright, I double checked the directions. The only sensing mechanism is the green section, not the back section. It is just the green. And then I went up here and I tried to reset it again, and I was able to actually just joggle the valve, and now I see it'll move. It'll take the reset now, I'm sure. I think that pressure was just, now I have water pressure coming in this way that I didn't have before. So now that I've got that water pressure, there. Now it's in the open position. It was just because there was a pressure differential from here going to the other side. I still have the pilot off. I still have to light that off. But before I do that, let's verify we got hot water. Here's the faucet. All right, so we're back to full water pressure on the hot side. So we know the valve is open. All we have to do now is light the pilot again. So let's go to pilot on here. Make sure the plunger can depress, and it can. Let me cradle the camera. Depress this. There it is. Hold it for 5 seconds, 5 or 10 seconds. Let go. Oh, I lost it. Let me do that again. 9, 10. There it is. Now we'll go ahead, take this here, go from pilot to on, and hear that puppy light off. One last look at the burner section before I button up the door. But everything's good here. I don't see any issue. Let's see if I can get the door on. Alright, first piece that goes on is this one here. So let's see here how to do this. Okay, hold on. Okay, there we go. And let's see here. This here should really be coming out with this. Just trying to, I don't want to kink this, so I'm trying to be careful here. Trying to come up with these pipes here, like that. Alright, let's try that. Kind of a pain in the butt. There it is. Make sure you're in. And then that comes down. Let me show you how that is. So when you put that first door on, there's a lip here that it has to go underneath. So it has to go basically up and underneath and then down. And you can see the tabs right there that it catches when it goes down. This portion here Okay, let me try to tighten this up a little bit. Let's see if that will work. Yeah, because I put that new component on. Oh, see, now it hangs down so low and it came out. That's going to be a little bit of an issue. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. What I could do is I could do it at an angle like this and just tape this on here. I could just do it that way and just not have it as well secured as the manufacturer wants it, which is clipped in here and clipped in here. Now there's one hiccup that I can't. Oh wait, you know what I could do? I could bend this out here so it comes up and in. Let me try that. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to get this up here. This is in the way. I'm going to try to bend this over and bend it just enough to get it to where I want it to go. And I'm almost there. There it is. It's just about where I want it. Tab just needs to be bent back slightly. There it is. It's actually almost there. There it is. There it is. I got it. It's not terrible. It's a little bit of a lip here. Let me just, you know what I could do, you know what I could do is I could just fold that back. Just fold that back upon itself so it's not going to be cutting hazard for someone. There's that little ripple right there. Let me just bend that in. There, like that. There. Now it'll come in and out very easily. So I can take it out and now just put it right back in. And it's not obstructing anything, and everything's good to go. The flame is on vacation. Let me put it to hot and we should hear it light off. Yeah, so I did not lose my thermocouple with that. Everything's good, everything's fine. Okay, the valve's installed, everything's looking good. Operational, power's on, it's all connected, everything is fine. Right now what I want to do, because now I want to get this bottom thing, I guess if I could, if I wanted to, just leave this upside down, leave it underneath the water heater, and I could call it a day. That's not what I'm going to do. Oh, by the way, and I still have to put this on here, which is the bottom dam material that came with the kit. So I still have to put that. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the sensor, hang it up here, out of the way, just so I don't have to worry about it. Just hold it over here for now. And I'm going to take some sandpaper and I'm going to sand this down. I'm going to clean that section off and I'm going to give it 2 coats of this product here, which is called, it's pretty much Red Guard, but this is an industrial version, Pro Red waterproofing membrane. But if you're familiar with Red Guard, you can look it up on YouTube. There's plenty of videos. It's just an elastomeric waterproofing material that goes on like paint. Okay, I'm going to sand this down. I'm going to clean it all up so that it'll accept that. I'll blow it out with the leaf blower so everything's nice and clean. So first thing I'm going to do is just sand this down and then just give it 2 coats of that. And then I'm going to give it 1 coat of primer, which I've got around here somewhere. Because of that red, because that stuff is just so red, it bleeds through on the color. I'll give it 1 coat of this primer and then I'll give it 1 coat of paint, so it's going to be 4 coats in total. which is a lot, whatever. It's just a small 2 foot by 2 foot section. Let me go to town on it. Okay, that's the first coat of Red Guard. I'm going to put on the second coat now. It goes on pink and it dries red. Here, let me show you this first coat of Red Guard. There it is. You can see how red it is. And, you know, I'm not trying to go crazy detailed. I'm just trying to give it a coat of this stuff just to give it some protection. I'm going to give it the second coat right now. Okay, so I've given this 2 coats of the waterproofing Red Guard material, the elastomeric Red Guard. I gave it 2 coats of the primer, stain blocking primer, because the red was still showing through, and then I just gave it 1 last coat of a paint, top coat, in order set with the semi-gloss finish. That's still wet, it's just painted. It looks a lot better than what it looked like before, and I painted all the way through underneath, so it's a really good thing. We're almost done with this project. All I've got left to do, let me show you the rest. By the way, let me show you how well I got underneath here. You see that? That's just done really well. So it's really shows everything underneath. So when I go to do an inspection, it's just really nice. That's the best I could do it with the water heater in place. All right, we still have to, once this paint dries, this is the paint that I just put on, which is just an exterior high gloss ultra pure white paint, Barrel Ultra. I just had that in stock, so I just used that. Oh, by the way, you can see that I didn't go through great lengths and tape anything off or anything. I just was trying to blow and go through this bottom thing just to clean it up a little bit, so I'm not trying to spend an enormous amount of energy on that. Now, here's the dam product that I still want to put in there once that paint is dry. Then I can put the dam all around here. There's the sensing pad that's going to have to be laid down there underneath. Now, one last thing we didn't discuss is the pressure temperature relief valve. My finger is touching it right now. Now, normally they don't want you to use these flexible lines. They want a smooth, continuous, uncorrugated line for the pressure temperature relief valve, but I feel comfortable using it. And let me explain what I'm going to do. So right now it's discharging about 6 inches above the finished floor, which is the way that it's supposed to be. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pressure temperature relief discharge line and I'm going to cut it somewhere, let's just say right about here where my finger is, or maybe even a little bit higher, and I'm going to bend it so this way it comes it's going to come out. Let me show you. See how right now it's on the inside of that gas pipe? I'm going to bend it so it comes out on the outside of the gas pipe and it's going to angle in towards the water heater this way and then down. This way, if it does discharge, it will go to the sensing device, shutting off the water flow, because that is only supposed to discharge in the event of something wrong. Normally the thing that's wrong is the thermostat is running away from you and it's running and it's not supposed to be running. So I'm going to have, instead of the discharge, go down there. So this way, the water sensing device can do two things. It can, if the water heater develops a leak, I'll get that water. If the thermostat runs away and the pressure temperature relief valve discharges, I'll get that water, shutting off the gas supply and the water supply. So that is what I plan on doing to finish this project 100%. But I got to get a pipe bender to do that, so I don't have that with me, but I'll get that and then finish this project up, hopefully today. Okay, here's the discharge pipe right here. I have a pipe cutter in my hand. The dam is about 1 inch high. What I want is I want this pipe to come over here, turn, and then go up against the tank, the water to discharge against the tank down into where the sensor is going to be located over here, which means I'm going to want this pipe cut about here in order to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the pipe here with my pipe cutter. So with this pipe cutter, it's just what they call a mini. I could have even used a full-size pipe cutter, but I'm just going to use the mini one here and just go ahead and do this. Yeah. Now all we have to do is just bend this pipe around here to come and discharge here and then down. All right, now let's go ahead and run our dam around. The way the dam is it has a flat section and then a rounded section. So the flat section goes on the bottom. So I just have to try to feed this through. So here's how the two pieces fit together. So they give you this plastic piece here that's oval shaped there, a semicircle, and it just fits in the cavity here. Put about halfway through, and then put here and then just join the two seams together all the way. And Okay, now I want to trim this to fit, and it's a little bit long, so I'm going to undo this connection here, figure out exactly how much I want to trim off, and just get everything exactly the way I want it. And I would like to trim off from right here, which is like the high point of this the bottom of the water heater. So let me just cut that down, and that should be good. There we go. Okay, so there's that for the berm all the way around, just to help it with the water. All right, I believe I made a mistake here and cut this too short. I wish it was just a little bit longer, so when I turned it in, it would come across here a little bit better. So I want to put a coupling on there. Okay, I went to the Home Depot and I purchased a 3/4 inch coupling so I could put it on there and make up this joint. I've already done testing to determine that once that's in, that it's going to fit on top of that pipe and come down pretty much where I want it to go. All right, pretty much that's it. I can get that to cinch up a little bit more. I didn't want to go too tight because it's an unsoldered joint, but you can see basically it's just going to be discharging right here, and then there's the sensor right there, and so it'll pick it up immediately and then shut the valve off. So I'm going to go ahead and solder that up. All right, I'm not going to go into great detail on how to solder pipe, but if you want to learn how to solder, you can check out my channel. I've got other videos on really good detail on how to solder copper pipe. But basically, all I'm going to do is just use a soft soldering technique and solder it up. Okay, now that we have the pipe soldered up, should be good to go. Let me connect it on. And I'm going to put a zip tie right here so I can angle it the way that I want to angle it, but pretty much that's it. I'll give you a close-up of that in a second. Okay, pretty much that's the finished job. If this pressure temperature relief valve that's up here goes off for some reason, it'll discharge down here, come down this pipe here, and I have it angled so it'll hit the tank wall right here and then splash all around. Some of that water will go right there. As soon as that gets wet, it'll immediately shut off the tank. Plus I have the berm that goes around, and when the tank leaks, that'll get it. So I feel very confident that I'm very protected. Now, one thing that I want to do while I've got everything like this is I just want to oh, by the way, I should mention that I bet you a code inspector would not like the way that I did this. There's a couple things wrong here. Number one, they would not like that I have a corrugated pipe here rather than straight pipe. That they probably would not like. Number two, Before, this was discharging 6 inches to the floor. Now I have it discharging higher than 6 inches to the floor, although it's probably within 6 inches of this base, and they probably wouldn't want it going towards the berm. But because I have this new device, I like this particular method because I know I'm going to be protected. This is better than it just discharging just the floor. So even if you're a code inspector, please comment on this. Would you approve this? Would you not approve this? You know, what would you do? All right. Now, I want to get a bucket here, and we're going to go ahead and blow down this valve. So the way that I've got this set up is that all I have to do is just turn it like that, and I should be able to, well, hopefully I can just get it to discharge directly in the bucket. I'm not sure how well that's going to work out. Let me put the camera down and give this a go. Alright, I got some safety glasses on and some gloves just in case. Let me hold this bucket up here like this. Let me pop the safety valve. I gotta reach up here and grab it. There it is. Ooh. Oh, wait a minute. Started leaking down the side of the tank. Let me just see where that is coming from. Alright, so what I did was I just put one bucket upside down on top of the other bucket so it would dump right in there. Let me show you what happened when I went to do this test. Watch the top of the valve right here. Watch what happens when I pop this pressure temperature relief valve. See that? You see all that water? It just comes pouring out the stem right there. So that water is just coming down here, leaking down the side. So I didn't want to set the sensor off at the bottom, so I just took the sensor out because I didn't want to trip the valve. My valve is still open here. I took it out of the stream. But I wanted to give this pressure temperature relief valve. Everyone should be doing this once a year in an effort to make sure that, first of all, that it works. This is the thing that prevents your water heater from exploding, okay? This thing is the thing that is going to save your life ultimately. So it absolutely is imperative that this device works and works good and reliably, and that it discharges out. The bucket's getting a little full, so I don't want it to tip over. But let me pop it one more time. You can see it just pouring out right there. All right, so right now I want to dry up this water, stop testing this relief valve, empty this bucket, and try to go back into normal service. Now that I've got the bucket emptied, let me show you how I'm doing this here. So I want to, first of all, make sure that the valve works. So I'm popping the valve here, open that up. You can see it discharging out nicely, okay? And now, when you shut it down, when you let your valve down, there's a couple different ways you can go about it. You can just go like this and bring it down nice and gently. But what I want to do is, if there's calcium and magnesium buildup on the valve, I want it to kind of, on the valve seat, I want it to break free. So I want to jog the valve, I want to jostle and jog and shock the valve kind of. So watch what I do to the handle. I'm taking the handle and I'm kind of snapping it so that the valve is popping like this up and down really quickly. And I'm doing that in an effort to try to try to clean the seat, to try to get the valve to seat appropriately with no calcium and magnesium deposits. Now you'll notice that when I do that, how it's just down to a little bit of a trickle coming out of the pipe now. Now that's of course I'm going to have a little bit of residual in the pipe itself and a little bit here, so it's going to take, you know, a half an hour or so to get that down to a zero static. But I just wanted to show you how you could be gentle with this, or you could kind of pop it the way that I'm popping it, just so that you can try to clean the valve seat as well as possible. That's one nice other thing about this installation that I did, is that I've got it turned now away from the tank so that I can put a bucket and grab the water real easily. And once the water stops dripping out, I know that the pressure temperature relief valve is 100% operational, and it's not dripping out because I'm not going to put it back under the tank until that's to a zero static state. Then I'll turn it around, have it go towards the tank, and then make sure everything's dry, and then put the sensor back, and then I was able to get the valve to seat. No water's dripping out now. Let me show you what I had to do. So I tried that technique of popping the valve to try to break loose the calcium and magnesium, and the valve kept giving me a slow drip. So what I did was I took this ball peen hammer, which is just a light, it's not a heavy ball peen hammer, and I tapped on the top of the pressure temperature relief valve here to get it to seat in, and lo and behold, it did seat. So good. I'm happy about that. Okay, that's the completed installation. The valve is on in the open position that you can see right there. And I've got the discharge pipe coming down, secured with the zip tie right here, angled in, going towards the tank. Oh, I just saw a drip coming out of there, still dripping on me. Let me just put this rag there just for now, just to catch that for tonight. I'll pick it up tomorrow. There must be just a few drips left in the pipe, but pretty much the pipe is empty. I feel pretty confident that I closed that valve up, but I'll leave that rag there for tonight and I'll pull it down tomorrow. And the berm is up, everything's painted. That pretty much concludes this entire project here. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope if you didn't know about FloodSafe, I hope that I gave you a pretty good explanation about it. Please click on like. I hope that you liked the video. My intent was to give you information about this product and how I am using it and what my intentions are, and if that works for you, great. I'd love to hear your stories about your situations. If you think this was a good idea or a bad idea, please love the comments. Put the comments below. We all like to read them and see what's going on and how everybody operates. That's it. Please subscribe to my channel, Ken Training. I've got plenty of videos out there for you to explore with plumbing, HVAC, construction, various products, various content is out there. That's it, and I will see you later.